All right, so hey everybody, and welcome to the Bright Founders Talk at Temi. Temi is an international software development company that designs, builds, and delivers software for sustainable businesses and promising startups. My name's Matthew, and I'm joined today by Niels Stenfeldt, who is the CEO and board member at Inriver, amongst other things, which we'll get into later. Niels, how are you today?
I'm doing fantastic. It's a beautiful day here in Malmö, where our headquarters are, and autumn is coming, and you get this special blue color in the sky. So life is good.
It's wonderful. The colors in autumn are fantastic. I particularly like it when the trees start to turn, and you get the greens and the browns and the yellows all mixed together. It's a special time of the year. So I'm going to ask you to tell us a little bit. Let's start with Inriver. Tell us a little bit about Inriver and your role. And then we'll turn the clock back and we'll start talking through your journey to get to where you are today. How's that?
That sounds like a good plan. So Inriver is the leading product information management company that works with the new breed of PIM, which basically is going away from just looking at product information in the context of commerce, but looking at product information in context of the buying agendas, sustainability informations, circularity around manufacturing companies, brand manufacturers, and so forth. So moving away from powering the shoppers to powering everybody who wants to take an informed decision about the purchase of the product they're about to buy. New legislation is coming around product data. What are the information you as a consumer need to have to take an informed decision about the environmental impact or the footprint of the product you're about to buy? That's what our solutions helps businesses provide to their consumers. So we're more than just a technology business. We're a technology business that actually makes the world a better place, and that actually adds a purpose to what I'm doing. And so I'm not saying I'm a tech guy anymore. Not saying I'm a startup guy. I'm saying I'm a CEO who makes the world a better place.
That's awesome. I like that. I really do. So I want to talk a little bit about that. I think it's an important subject to touch on, sustainability and reducing our impact and how exactly you're going around this. So let's lead into that, and let's take a bit of a step back. You've been involved in a lot of projects over the years. You've built and started a few companies. Coming out of university, coming out of school, is this what you knew you wanted to do with your life? How did your journey begin? Let's go right back. How did it begin? Where did it catch fire?
Right. So interesting enough, I never really had a plan. And then one of the things I will say is that when you want to start a business, it's absolutely important that you had a very solid business plan. But if I look at myself as an individual, I did not have a plan of my career. I still probably don't have a career plan. But what I have done is I've followed my passion. I followed what I found interesting. Believe it or not, I was actually a master in auditing, learning two important things there, which is, first of all, you need to understand the processes of what you're operating with. And that is basically what auditing is about. It's not about figuring out whether something is right or wrong. It is figuring out with 95% certainty that it's not material wrong. And if you get that kind of mindset into your way of doing business, you actually also becomes a pretty good guy in startups, because you should never let perfect be in the way of better. So if you just have this is 95% not fundamentally wrong, then you're good to go. Then don't overdo, don't overkill it. So this is one of the learnings I had, and that brought me forward. Went me into banking, was auditing banking system, ended up owning the development of online banking solutions, and we're here around the millennium. And from there on, I moved into IT, worked with some of the very large corporates, learned the blue chip, as some will call it, and from there on started to become involved in businesses owned by private equities, found my own businesses, were part of getting those sold, got chairman with some good friends. We grew up a business, sold that one. So been through different types of stages of businesses, from being, the guy who on the Monday wanted to buy a new car because things was going perfectly fine, and on the Tuesday finding that, damn, we don't have money for gas to the old car. And that's the mental mind you have to go through as well when you're doing startups. And today now CEO in a large company owned by an American private equity company. You can take all the various learnings from the big corporates, the small corporates, because in today's world, one of the key things we have to focus on is how do we then balance growth and profitability with interesting changing, inflation changing, the job market changing. You have this uncertainty. So having that ballast is today some of the things I'm super privileged to been through what I've been through in my career. But it started out with auditing.
Wow.
And I still need to make sure the numbers add up.
It sounds like what you're mentioning there, the balancing, the growth, taking all those factors in. It's a lot for one person to handle. You have nice people around you that are able to relieve some of that workload.
I have to. I mean, a CEO is only as strong as the team he has around him. So I'm a strong believer in building a team of A+ players, and it's very, very focused on A+, not just A. You have to get the best people around you. Evidently, they should be better than you. Your job, my job as CEO, and as a founder, is to simply find those that complement me, not those that are a replica of me, but those who complement it, those that can challenge me. Because with a lot of A+ players around me, I know that they will attract A players. You don't want to have second-grade players. You're not going to win Champions League if you don't have the best football players. It's just not how it operates. You're not going to win the National League Series if you're playing other sports, if you only have mediocre players. You win with the best team, and that means you have to have the absolute best leadership team around you. Full stop. That's if you begin doing compromises there, you are set to lose.
I love the analogies. You paint a very clear picture of how the pieces fit together. So you built some good teams around you. You told me that you've started a couple of businesses in the past. Can you tell us about some of those, maybe some of the success stories, some of the times that things might not have worked out that well?
Absolutely. I mean, I think without going into the individual businesses, but I think a common theme in all of them has been, what is the valuable problem that we can solve for a larger proportion of homogeneous prospects? It sounds a little bit theoretical, but many times I've seen great ideas where the fundamental story to be told was either too complicated or it wasn't solving a valuable problem. And what you have to always know is that there is one guy and one lady somewhere, but that is a decision maker, who have to see that you're helping them become better at what they're doing with what you want to sell them. And therefore you have to tell that story that is inclusive, that has an extreme focus on the customer and the decision maker. If that is a little bit unclear and a little bit, what is the benefit for me, you won't do it. And if you can't see quickly how you can find many handfuls of similar customers within very short time that you can go through, you don't get something that scales. And if you can't scale your sale, then you will only end up in a model where and that's at least my perspective, I've always focused on those that has software in. Because if you can't scale the amount of customers, you can only scale the amount of time you spend with one customer. That's the only scale, or that's the only way you can get the growth. And there is a tendency that usually ends up with having a lot of people, and then you grow your risk profile. Because the more people you have dependent on fewer customers, the more dependent you are on those customers performing well and nobody else coming in with a competing product. So there is a number of things you have to remind yourself about in terms of how do you secure the scalability of your business. Like, don't be too focused on a few set of customers. Make sure you spread out. Be in a market where there is a homogeneous group of customers who share the same pain, where you can tell that compelling story. Focus on this customer acquisition. Win as many customers as you can. And when you do that, things will begin stacking up. But realize it will take longer time than you expected. I've never done any of the startups I've been part of has done quicker. It always we will be done in 2 years, 5 years. So take the time, make sure you have a plan. And that's why this balance between profit and growth is something you also have to have in mind. I think one of the businesses I'm still involved in is taking way longer than we thought. We were certain when we started this is going to fly through the roof. It's going to be a rocket. And we're still extending the takeoff lane for the shuttle that's going to bring it up to space so it can become a rocket. I'm still sure it will be a rocket for absolutely many reasons. We are solving a valuable problem, but it has just proven us difficult to tell the simple story of why do you need it now? So one thing is the compelling event, having the compelling story. Without a compelling event, you have this, well, I can wait till tomorrow to buy it. And if that's the case, you won't win. So there's a couple of things you have to be mindful about in starting up businesses. I shared some of them here, but there are many more options and areas where you can go wrong. But hopefully that gives you a little bit of insight of the learnings I got from those startups.
Absolutely. It sounds to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds to me like you also enjoy the process as much as you enjoy seeing the results. You speak about the process very passionately, the growth, finding the solutions, the connection, the way you pitch your ideas. It sounds like it's fun for you.
You have to think, if you start a business with one purpose and that is to get rich, it's going to be no fun. Because the day when you sell it, many businesses don't get that long. So you have to enjoy the journey as well as much as the end results. It's pretty much like running. If you only enjoy it when you pass the finish line, it's going to be a really, really boring and hard run. So you have to feel that joy of, now the adrenaline kicks in and like, yes, this is a good, I'm in my zone, I'm running. And you have to feel that is fun because you're going to spend a lot of hours in starting a business. Starting a business or being a CEO is not something you do from 8 to 4 o'clock and then you're happy. You get up early in the morning and then you work hard and then you might be lucky to get a little bit of lunch. Then you will hopefully get some dinner with your family and then you'll work again and then you go very tired to bed and next morning you start. And if this is not fun, that A+ team you had gathered around you, they will see you're angry. They will not see the smile. They will see an angry guy who just, where are we? Wow, no. That's not how you motivate people. So it has to be, you have to think this is the best thing on earth. And then if you're lucky, you get icing on the cake. You have to think the journey is equally fun.
Talking a little bit about that, let's extrapolate on that and how do you manage then to find that balance? Because it sounds like you're super busy. What do you do to ensure that you've got that balance, that you do have time for your personal life and the people around you?
That's a decision you have to make. The hardest thing is when you set yourself a goal and you say, listen, we want to get to here by the end of this week. Decomposing the journey into many small milestones is something that will make your day, livable. When you talk about balance, I think post-COVID, there was this, or during COVID, I think many people had a chance to reflect on their life, and we for a long time talk about this life-work balance. And for me, it's not about a balance between life and work. It's a matter of a balance in your life. I think we should try not to talk about the balance between the two. We should talk about the balance of everything, because it's a matter of balance in your mind. You are not effective if you work all the time, but you're not effective either if you're not doing anything. So it's finding that balance. And for me, it's about chopping up the day. Try to make a plan when you get up in the morning. What is it you want to achieve today? And when you have achieved that, then stop. Reality is most likely you will, when you start doing this, you'll end up with a list that's too long and 85% of it will go to tomorrow's list because things happen. But over time, you will learn that, okay, I will probably only be able to get 3 things done today. But then get those three things done and feel that joy. Back to the, how do I get the passion and the energy? Get those 2-3 things done today that you really know needs to be done today. And so when you've done those things today, then be happy about that. And then move on the next day and the next day and set yourself those goals. And then you can set back on the Fridays, turn around and say, I actually did the 15 things I had hoped for this week, plus these 7. And then there was these 10 foo bars that actually was not foo bars, but they were just snafus. So, but we fixed it again and then we moved on.
Foo bars. It's been a while since I've heard that one. Nice. What about then, like we've spoken a bit about the processes. What about the future? Like how much stock do you put in that? How far ahead do you plan? How do you break up what you're looking to achieve?
I always look in a couple of different horizons. I think if you go to let's say McKinsey, they also talk about this 3 horizons. For me, it's a matter of knowing the end goal. The end goal will always change. It's not like it has to be something super static. But as a leader in particular, when you grow in size, it is super important that you have this lighthouse that tells you, where am I heading? Because when you begin growing, the biggest challenge and the biggest strain is the scale of you and your team. So you can't tell everybody everything. So over time, one of the challenges and the balances, you have to let go a little bit. You have to accept that now there are others who take the decisions, but yet you need to give them a compass or a spot that they're looking towards, and they kind of know that without having been told what to do, that, well, what would Niels do? What should we do to get there? And if you've put out that picture and said, listen, within this frame, this is where we're going, then if you've done well, they can actually navigate their way to it and take that decision without the hesitation, because they somehow just know that had they asked, that would have been the answer they would have received. And this is where you've managed to scale yourself as a leader, when your associates and the teams that are surrounding you are beginning to take decisions on their own, making advancements on their own that is in line with the goals that you put out. This is where you have to have these horizons. The reality is 80%, 70% of the things you do is about what's going to happen the next 3 months. So it's not like you every day as a founder of a new business can sit in your chair and think about, what's going to happen in 5 years. You won't have time for that. So forget it. It's going to be 1 hour a day. If you're super, super lucky, you can talk about and think about the future. And that's probably when you're driving. It's like, that's where you should be dreaming. The dream is important. You have to have it. You have to distill it. You have to tell it because it's part of the guiding star or the lighthouse for the whole organization. But you cannot spend too much time on it, because then you're not into the operations of your business and then it falls apart.
And I think that's...
And there is something between the dream and today. And I talked about all the operation stuff you need to do now. This is, as you grow, you need to spend a little bit more on the horizon too, because that's what's bridging towards the dream, but getting you out of the mud today. So how do you make sure that you have everybody turning right around the next corner while we are fighting the streets right now? That's what you do in the first horizon. And then you need to know that everybody will turn at the right time. That's your Horizon 2 conversation. And as bigger the bit you become as a company in your growth, the more time your leader has to spend time on that particular part, because that's damn important that everybody turns right and not half goes left and the other turns right. And if you're really unlucky or you have a cross with many roads, then it can be really messy if you haven't done that properly. So getting that level of readiness out on where you're heading is important too.
Now I've got to ask you another question. We started off in the beginning and you were telling me a bit about, we spoke about sustainability. You want to make the world a better place. And it sounds like you already have a very full plate and you're making the world better and bringing sustainability into this complex environment. How are you managing that? Where are you finding space to also try and improve the things around you while you're balancing all this changing environment.
I think that's the nature of the business I'm in right now. This is why I believe we are attracting not just the best talent in the industry, but we are also attracting talent from outside the industry, because particularly the younger generations want to have a purpose with what we are doing. And creating technology solutions that focus on presenting the digital product passport, or the which is the European legislation that's coming across Europe over the next years, which basically is a forced methodology to disclose a set of, we call them attributes, but basically things around your product that is important for the decision makers of, why am I buying this product? Now let's take the shirt you're wearing. By 2030, there will somewhere in it be a QR code that will tell where's the fabric coming from, what's the dye, what's the bleach, how should it be repurposed, what should be the wash, how should you use it, what was the detergent, how do you keep it the right colors. All that information, whenever the digital product passport for that particular product group is done, will be the legal requirements. If you want to sell that shirt in Europe, if you don't have that QR, you cannot sell it, full stop. So creating a technology solution, that's what we have done, working with the big producers of these type of, let's say, not just shirt, but pretty much any manufactured product in the world, allows us to help them get those information into a product information solution, so that you can take the right decision about, is it that shirt you're wearing or is my shirt? And it might be that the environmental footprint of your shirt is better than mine. It might be yours is more expensive than mine. So my job and our job as a company is not to decide what you should buy, but it is to make you be able to take a decision about, my CO2 footprint might be better than yours, and so you want to buy mine and not yours. But I don't know what those attributes are that is important for you. Yeah. But we want to make sure that whatever you choose to choose from, you choose on the same set of calculated values, so that you do it on an informed level and not just a story. Favorite example is H&M lately here up in Sweden. Although I'm Danish, I work in Sweden. They were talking how much and how great they were in product returns. So if you had bought something online and you didn't want it, you could put it back, and they would be very good with it. And if it was, they would make sure that nothing was wasted, until someone very smart put a smart tag into the envelope for the return goods, just to realize they'd end up in a dump in Africa. That's where the story is not so good anymore, when it doesn't fit with the facts. So if we can secure companies have the right facts, then they tell the right story. Then consumers can judge them on their actual performance in the actual data. That's, in my opinion, what will make the world a better place. Not that we are buying off stories that are untrue. We're buying off facts that are real. Then we can judge with our wallet. That's, for me, the definition at the moment of a much better world. And that's what we're doing with our technology. So that's what I spend every day on. And I think that's pretty damn interesting.
So something, I might be a bit pessimistic, or not pessimistic, but like, one of the things that I get the idea of listening to what you're saying, I think it's great giving the consumer the power, the information to look and say, well, this thing's being produced 7,000 miles away, and it's been shipped over here, and it's been flown in and trucked and whatever. And this one, has come from a local area, not that far away, and it would be the more conscious decision. It sounds like, though, that you may make enemies through this. Because there are people that are going to struggle to comply. There might be companies that are going to not appreciate it that much. Is this a concern for you, or you're not too bothered about those guys?
I mean, so I think there's two ways of looking at it. First way is the European Commission with the Green Deal is doing, in my opinion, a very, very smart move. because they said that in Europe, it cannot be so that if you want to sell a green shirt in Germany and in Denmark, it's different legislation. So we need to harmonize. I think everybody kind of think that's damn smart, particularly because we have internet shopping. So it doesn't make sense that you have different ways of doing it. So just by harmonizing within Europe, you are, by law and regulations, forcing a simple way on how we disclose information. That's not my job to create the attributes. My job is to help the businesses find the data that they put into those attributes. So I'm not making enemies. That's the politicians. If there are some who don't think the politicians are making the right things. Now, the other good news is that we have a number of generations, particularly again the youngers, that are extremely aware about where we are as a world. Because right now, if we look on the current trajectory, by 2040, we'll be spending 2.4 times the amount of resources our planet produces. And if you do the math, it's not going to continue. It doesn't work. Look at the climate changes, and while some still debate whether they are caused by us or others, we are just at a point where within the next 10 years, the decisions that you and I are making on behalf of our children and their children and their children will be quite impactful. So I think more and more people are seeing there is a need. And if I today help 2 and tomorrow is helping 3, going back to one of my opening comments, perfection can never be in the way of better. We're still doing better. And if I the day after can help 4 taking a better this informed decision, and the day after 10, then we're still on a trajectory for better. Then I have done a difference. Then my company have done a difference. All my colleagues have done a difference. All our investors are doing a difference. And then we should be happy. If somebody don't like me, it's not a popularity contest.
Nice, I like that. Good. So, like I say, it's obviously something that is worth mentioning. I see a lot of the conspiracy theories, about green products, and they put a little green leaf on your cereal box, and they go, hey, but when you look into it, that green leaf was bought from someone who's actually doing something nice by a company, and it's been put on, and so there's a lot of nonsense for us to sift through.
But the product passport, but the product passport is actually about giving a uniform set of rules that has to be put like a nutrition fact table.
Yeah.
I mean, the way you calculate how many calories there is in 100 grams, you cannot, there's no BS on that one. It's just that this is how it looks. And imagine you're just extending that ingredients information to a shirt, to whatever. And that will call for a ability to compare and not a fancy marketing story. You can create that still, but if it's not rooted in your fact, you're not compliant. And anyone who've tried to be non-compliant with GDPR regulation in Europe will know that is a damn pretty expensive way of doing business. So you better comply.
Nice. I like it.
So you have to be optimistic. We have to believe that there is a linkage between what the politicians are doing, what the consumers want, and what the planet and our children need. And that's actually what I think for the first time we see there is this link between those 3 groups, which is very rare. It doesn't happen often. So let's be not super optimistic, but at least be optimistic and seize the day. Make sure that we prioritize telling that story, because that is the story to be told. And that's the one story we will keep on telling.
I was going to ask you as a closing question if there was a slogan. It's my favorite one, my last question. If there's a slogan you can wake up to and see every day on your bedroom wall, what would it be?
Today is going to be an amazing day.
Fantastic. I thought it was going to be something quite positive. Niels, I just wanted to ask you before we log off, is there anything you'd like to tell our listeners or our viewers before we go, anything of great importance that we may have missed?
When you ask me to come join this session, you ask about what are the tips for founder? What are the things when you start up a business? I think we covered some of them. I think I said, although I didn't have a personal plan, make sure you have a plan when you start out. know your audience, know who you're talking to. It's super important that the story you have more than 10 users. It has to have many users so you can replicate the story and get scale in what you're doing. I think we talked a little bit the strong team. I think that's super important. Remember, this is not going to be an 8 to 4 job. It's going to be hard work. So hang in there. Have fun every day. If you don't have fun, if you don't think it's going to be a great day, redo your plan, because then it's going to be painful. And then always focus on the user. Focus on who you are addressing. If you're not obsessed about how they see you every day, if you don't want to make a fantastic, amazing day for them, you are on your way out of business. You just haven't realized it. So make sure that you focus on that user and make him or her happy every day. Be obsessed about it, and you'll be all fine.
We love it. Niels, I just want to wish you all the best. We're going to be keeping a close eye on you, on your progress. I look forward to the day when I can scan my clothing and I'll know where it comes from and I'll have that information. And I really hope that, and I believe actually after meeting you, I believe that it is going to make a huge difference and a very positive impact on ourselves and on our planet. So thank you.
There you go. Matt, it was a pleasure speaking to you, and don't forget to remember Inriver when you scan your shirt, and then say, hey, that was the crazy Dane I spoke with that morning. Have a wonderful day, Matt. And
it's exactly what I'm going to do.
Continue a great year.